It's a bit of a hack, but all the hacks are meant for performance. This chassis is pretty legendary for the most part. Is there enough light? I don't even know. I haven't done a video in a while, but I wanted to show y'all my TA-02T. Somebody traded me an XV01 and they gave me this chassis unbuilt. So, you know, it didn't really have a body to hold me down in terms of like what kind of car it's gonna be. And I ended up first building it as a touring car. Then I kind of wanted it to be like a rally car. But then I put big tires on it one day, just for giggles, and it ended up being the best thing I ever did with this car. For some reason, this vehicle is really well suited as a truck. I mean, it came as a Ford F-150, a Chevy S10, maybe a Toyota pre-runner of some sort, and came with a plastic top, but this thing came with a composite, like fiber reinforced double deck chassis, which is really nice. I did some changes to it. The stock arms, they're super duper squishy, and they're super duper squishy for a reason, because they know that people, when they drive these cars, they're gonna smash them. I smashed it many times, but I never really broke anything because this chassis suspension arms are made out of this like really kind of like gooey but really resilient type of plastic. I don't know if you can see that, but they can bend, right? They bend back and forth, which is great for crashes. But there's something about that when you're, you know, taking a hard corner really fast and you're going over bumps. It's kind of wishy-washy, right? So I added these linkages based on pictures that I found on the internet of old TA-02 cars that had these trailing link suspensions to stiffen up the whole suspension and whatnot. So the rear has a shock tower that goes right across, it bolts up right to the transmission, and from there I can run linkages to the back. Now the back points are where the fun is. You basically take these ball ends for sway bars and stabilizer bars, and you use the grub screw hole to thread your M3 bolts into it, right? And that's where you attach your bolts to your linkages. Before I did this hard linkage stuff, I actually had a sway bar that connected down somewhere. I forget where now, but oh, from here to up to this sway bar with like really weird end links. But I changed those end links to be in line on the trilling link, and then I attached it to the chassis point over here. There's holes underneath that this battery plate has, and if you drill from the top, they go straight through, and there's a lot of meat there to hold your linkage. These are SCX10 aluminum links that you can find on eBay or something. They're approximately 80 millimeters in length, and then you can just, you know, do the rest with really long grub screws, M3 grub screws, and then you attach like ball ends, ball cups to the end of them, and they thread right into that rod. It really adds a lot of stability to this car. There's very little binding, so it's smooth. So this car, when I first put a truck body on it, it was so funny because the rear end would just squat like a real truck, and it was really scale. I loved it. A TA-02 is actually not the best out of the box. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, it doesn't have adjustable camber links, so you can't really dial in your suspension. But you can make them really easily with ball cups and then threaded rod again. You know, just put one on each side and, you know, thread it up and then get your some camber. The TA-02 in truck format is really nice because once it's wide, it can handle really well off-road and on-road, especially with that front sway bar. But I use axle extenders because, yeah, it's an easy way to get wide, so you have stability to go around corners and it doesn't flip. But it adds a lot of scrub. What it also does is it makes the leverage point a little bit further out. This is where the lever is. The lever is longer, basically, so it's softer. The suspension is softer. So the front and rear is wide. The front is usually, on my trucks, is a couple of millimeters wider than the rear, just for handling purposes. The reason why it's also kind of sucky out of the box is because of the transmission. It's geared low for everything, right? Because it was the gearbox that was used for like the Manta Ray and like the Top Force and, you know, other like buggy variants, and then also built for like these larger diameter tires. So like back in the day, in the, like the early 2000s, you know, they didn't have that as much power, but, you know, they built it for the power of the times, you know, scale, speed, and whatnot. But then they found out later that, you know, people could actually make this car handle really well, and thus all these like crazy suspension setups that you see like from like sedan touring car days. This car, I feel like, embodies the spirit of the days of yore, of those sedan competitive racing. I don't race myself, but I see some of the pictures and I'm like, dude, that looks so awesome. And I just wanted to mimic as an homage to those that have tuned this car really well, and I aim to, you know, have a good handling car, and that's usually my main goal with cars. Like, I'm not much of a modeler, but I want my cars to drive really well, because, you know, you take them out and they handle really predictable in your hands and with your controller. It's just, the one thing that makes the TA-02 really spectacular is the high-speed gear set. For the longest time, you could not buy it on the internet because they were sold out. But then one day, I saw them online on some eBay seller, and I bought a bunch of them. And I gave one to my friend, and I have an extra spare, but one is in here. And it makes it so fast. So much better, at least. This is a 17.5 motor. The timing is... Oh yeah, this is really funny. This is a Trackstar motor. You know, and it goes with its Trackstar ESC. It's an 80 amp turbo. When I bought this motor was to modify it beyond what it could do stock. So just let me give you a demonstration first. Okay, this is just 17.5 high-speed gear set, big tires. So, you know, this might be a little bit exaggerated, but that's how it runs. That's my pull. This is a... So I added some like crazy timing to this by milling out the end bell, like taking the end bell off, taking a Dremel tool with a milling bit like this, and I shaved off some aluminum that stopped the end bell at its max timing. So I added more timing, and it actually takes it pretty well. So this car is very modified. I don't think I could ever enter a race with it because people would be like, dude, you're cheating. I'd be like, no, I'm just playing with cars. These cars are great. I love them. Open diffs on both ends, just super sloppy open diffs. By the way, this thing has double gear diffs. It originally comes with, I think, one gear diff in the rear and a ball diff in the front. But I opted for the gear diffs in front and rear with hardened joints because when you put power down, those original kind of like sintered steel ones, they you either snap them or you wear out the dog bone cup. So yeah, anyway, classic design, and it's tried and true. I would, you know, if you're gonna get one, get the high-speed gear set and try it in a truck format. They're great in truck format. Boom. Okay, so that's my TA-02. Hope I didn't talk your ear off. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.